We're going to go ahead and wait for some people to join the chat, and then we'll start the analysis. All right. Let me see here. So we're going to hold off until we have a few people join. In the meantime, get some refreshments. Let me see if I can see the chat. All right. I see. Huh. All right, so let's talk about the Squid Games. Filter Entertainment. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and set notifications. We have some more Squid Games production coming up. First 4 episodes mastered. But right now we're going to go over a recap of the analysis of what happened in the show. So episode 1 was Pentathlon. And that started off with 2 volunteers, which were the twins. They took a risk by volunteering, but later on it actually ended up paying off. So they were tasked to pick 2 people. One was a musician, and one happened to be a nurse. And they had to count like the beats to a timer. So whoever got closer to the beats on the timer, the actual count, I think it was 4:56, then they ended up winning. And then half of the other side was eliminated. So first game, in a way, was half of the people being eliminated. So there's a lot of, I think before in season 1, there was only like one, mother son combination. They have at least 3 here. They got the father daughter, they have the twins, obviously, and then they have the brother sister. So you got 3 sets of people in this one. So pentathlon, right before it starts, the actual game, they interviewed this Russian girl named Sydney. She was a makeup artist. I call her the Russian girl. She said she was very spoiled growing up, yada, yada, yada. So during the pentathlon, they had to play 5 games: ball in a cup, flying stone, gonji, house of cards, and jeggy. So ball in a cup's like what it sounds like. Flying stone, you had to throw a stone. You had another stone that was standing up and knock it over. Gonji was a dice game. Excuse me. Was a dice game. House of cards. You just had to put the second level on the house of cards. And then Jeggy was a hack-a-sack one. Tell me, Chad, if you can hear me all right and see me all right. Give me like a thumbs up. So, okay, that was pretty much, I'll wait for that response, but I'll move on to see if, well, I'm not going to move on yet because what happened to the Russian girl, she actually ended up getting eliminated, because she was taking forever with the dice. She killed a lot of time. She wasn't the sole reason. The other lady that was trying to do the house of cards didn't do as well either. So, I mean, they kind of failed anyways. The easiest game, I don't know which ones that you would order it in terms of difficulty level, from least difficult to most difficult. You can leave it in the chat what you think from the least difficult game to the most difficult game. But I would say the easiest would be probably Jiggy, the hacky sack one. Then I would say ball in a cup. Then I would say maybe Gonji. That's going to be the dice game. Then House of Cards. And then I say Flying Stone. The reason why I say Flying Stone, because some people threw it so hard that if they missed it, they had to go back and get it. And that kills a lot of time. So Flying Stone could be the worst game if you throw it too hard, if you're heavy-handed. Or it's not as bad, but still, you're taking a risk because your whole team has to go get it. It's not like the cards fall and you're just sitting there, or the dice are still there where you're sitting there. You actually have to physically go over and get the rest of get the other stone, Flying Stone. So fast forward to episode 2. Episode 2 was Catch. Seems simple enough. But they started off that episode with a continuation of pentathlon, the father-daughter combo. So you got Zoe, that's the daughter, and the cop actually ended up being on the same team. So what they did in production here was pretty cool. So I'm still talking about pentathlon. So the first game they showed was like a long drawn out. You saw every element of the game. Then they speed ran the rest of the games, and then the last team were shown. Last 2 teams, and then Zoe and the cop were on the same team. I haven't mentioned the cop, but if you've seen this, as you should have, because this is a spoiler, you should know that who the cop is, and Zoe and cop were actually on the same team at this point. So one of the guys under their team, he threw the freaking stone so hard that if he would have missed, I think it would have been game over. I mean, it was already game over anyways, but he threw it so hard, it would have went so far, they would have wasted so much time going to get that stone. And then when he got back, he's not guaranteed to hit it again, right? So that's the danger of the flying stone. So in any case, Zoe and the cop won, and they moved on. So then, okay, so we had the slowest players after everybody celebrated and happy that they were done with the game. They thought they had been in the clear. 5 of the slowest players were jeopardized by a vote. So they're all up on stage, and the 5, the crowd or the rest of the contestants could either let them off the hook or eliminate them. So among them was the musician, the one from episode 1 that beat out the nurse to save half the population. They showed him no mercy, and they just eliminated all 5 ultimately. And I was like, cold-blooded. I thought they had a chance because they were like, okay, well, this one guy saved us all. Maybe we'll repay the favor. But no, it's everybody out for themselves. I get it. So leave in the comments below, what do you think? Like, would you have chosen to eliminate him? Or would you have chosen to keep him because of optics? Because you could be like, oh, I try to keep him, so it makes it look like you're trying to keep him, but maybe it was hopeless, you know. But in any case, because there's always like a game within a game. We talk about that during our footage of Filter Entertainment. So when you look at the produced episodes, each one comes out weekly, at least one every week. Filter Entertainment, Squid Games, The Challenge. So let's get back to it. So they did an interview right after they showed that all 5 were gone, including the musician. They got voted out because they're the slowest in pentathlon among their groups. Peter was interviewed 024. He's a stand-up comedian. He had a religious background. Pretty interesting character. The players they opted out of the game. The players that opted out of the game. Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. So the players had to opt out. They chose not to choose, right? And they thought they were in the clear. There's 3 of them, and they all opted out of the game. That was kind of cool because no one really knew. They could have been eliminated. I mean, that was really interesting how they did that. Opted out of the game. I thought they should be trying to clear because they were forward thinking, but the game won't let them off the hook that soon. So they definitely let them out of the game. So they pretty much those 3 players had to pick a horse, so to speak. So they had to map themselves onto the players that were actually participating. So they're like side betting, you can call it. One player picks Viper as his horse, and that didn't work out too well. But there's an interview right before that with Mark, number 100, the customer service representative. I call him Dungeons and Dragons or D&D, just because he seems like that type of person. He kind of mentioned that he was kind of likes that type of thing. So during the game, they had to stand on these little circles, which they can move from or whatever. Ultimately, I found out. But at first it started off really close, and then people would put the weakest players, not always, but most of the weakest players in the front, so if they can't catch, or they're in the very back or they're in the very front. If they're in the very front, they can't catch because it's so close. If they're in the very back, I think the strategy was that Viper was talking about they would never make it to them because the people would be eliminated before they got to them. So one funny moment in the scene was the cop. He was like 4 circles away, and he was like, "Pass me the ball. I can catch. I play baseball." I'm like, "Dude, you're 4 squares away." First of all, if you play baseball, then why aren't you further in the back? And second of all, I mean, who can't catch 4 squares away? Literally like less than 10 feet, maybe not less, but about 10 feet away. I mean, come on. But in any case, that was pretty funny. They interviewed the cop. His name is Matthew, number 98. He's law enforcement. I call him the cop. So fast forward to episode 3. It was called The Doll. So episode 3, they continue to the catch game, and then Viper in episode 2 catches the long distance pass from a player. They celebrate, but then Viper has to throw the pass to D&D. So when he threw it to him, it was a little bit short. He should have hit him in the hands, but it was a little bit short, and he just totally dropped it. Like, hit him in both hands, I think, I want to say. Or maybe he didn't make it to his hands. He like hit the front of his hand or something. It was just horrendous. So he dropped it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm tripping. No. I'm mixing everything up. Scratch that. False memories. Sorry about that, folks. I'm glad somebody caught me. Somebody should have caught me in the chat. So D&D drops it from somebody else. It was a lady. I remember her now. It was a lady, and they both, fail. But anyways, go back to Viper. He catches one, a long distance pass, and then he has to pass it to some guy. I call him the coward. The coward pretty much didn't want to play. He didn't want to play at all. He turned around and said, "I'm protecting my team," but that was because he was very insecure about this game, very fearful of losing, in my opinion. And the other one girl says, "Do I look like I catch balls?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, what a clip that is!" She's asking a rhetorical question, like, "Of course I don't catch balls. I don't look like I catch balls." And then the other girl from long distance away, everybody's far distance at this point, she said, "I'm sick. I have a fever." So she doesn't want to get the ball thrown to her either because they don't want to drop it and eliminate themselves, much more than the person that's throwing it. I would imagine. So Viper goes back to the dude. He's like, "Dude, you're like the closest. You got to catch the ball. I mean, no matter what, I'm picking you." So the guy finally acquiesces. And then Viper throws him the ball, and the guy, that's when it hits hard. That's when it hit him directly in the hands, and he dropped it. Even though he had to run a little bit, he had to jog a little bit because the pass was a little bit short, but literally hit both. I almost want to say it hit almost like both of the insides of his hands, like where the palm and the fingers meet, like it was like right there in both hands. Sometimes we call those we wouldn't call them butterfingers. Some people say that, but it was like just stone hands. Crazy. So it hit him in both hands. It falls out. I was like, oh my gosh, and I felt bad for Viper. So then the reaction says it all. At the end, Viper's crying. He's devastated, right? Because he has plans for this money. He's really taking it seriously. He wants to go. The other guy, the coward, I call him, he was laughing. He laughed. He was like, "Oh, I try to protect my team," walked out. He was smiling. I was like, whoa. Go back to thinking, because should have picked him? Leave it in the comments. It's tough because, do you go with the other 2 girls that really don't want to do it? I think the flu girl would have been good. Because she's going to be super focused. You know what I'm saying? I think I would have picked the flu girl probably because that guy was just being. Because what happens if Viper picked that guy, he really didn't turn around. He would have been eliminated. I probably would have picked the flu girl. The other girl that says, "Do I look like I catch balls?" For her, I probably would have picked her. That would have been my third pick. Or my second pick. Before the guy, because the guy was being difficult. So within episode 3, after that's all done, people get eliminated. This Matryoshka doll comes out. Like a Russian Matryoshka doll is like a doll within a doll. So they pass this around. One person gets it, and then that person has to pass it to someone else voluntarily or actually really involuntarily. The person can pass it to whoever they want. And while it's going on, they interview this guy named Eric 415. He's a game design student. I call him the liar. He said it was his birthday. It was not. He said his girlfriend had a baby or his wife had a baby. He doesn't have a baby, maybe let alone a wife or a girlfriend. So 410, based on his Matryoshka doll winnings or advantage, not even advantage, but benefit, he gets cake. So coincidentally, the liar, Eric, he gets, or I call him the birthday boy for now, birthday baby, I should say. The birthday baby, he gets the biggest piece. It's pretty funny from his lie. So you can see him enjoying his cake. So then again, we have the interview with Natalie 075. She's a sign language interpreter. That's her job. I call her Coda. She's a child of deaf adult or something like that. So I just call her Coda. Just to remind me of her. And she actually ended up eliminating, because the Matryoshka doll fall out a little bit. She eliminated 080, some Brando we've never even probably seen on screen. Unless she was just like super fringe. And she was shocked. She looked up like 080. How'd I get picked from all these people? Yeah, but she gave Natalie 075, Coda, she gave excuse in saying, hey, it was going to be one of you guys or her, and I didn't know her. And she could have just stopped at, I didn't know her, so that's why I picked her. She was trying to get a little extra, but we got the point. I mean, you got to pick someone. She didn't want to seem malicious. That's a good way to do it. And ultimately, they gave the last doll to the cop in this episode. So then that brings us to episode 4, Mingle. So in Mingle, starting off the episode, the cop has to decide who to choose for potential elimination. Eliminated. So right before they do that, they interview August, 111 Hospitality Associated, Hospitality Associate. And he was adopted or an orphan, I guess, some combo thereof. And during that interview, we got to know him. And with the cop, he had to figure out if he's going to be eliminated along with, it's either him or whoever he selects. So we had to be very strategic. So this is the point of the game that actually needed strategy, a big amount of strategy, manipulation, crowd control, just optics, right? So what he did was he chose the best thing he could have ever chose was the twin, because the twins are strong, and you have two of them. Like anybody has two sets of anything, the father-daughter or the brother-sister, they have to go. I mean, they have double the chance of winning. So he targeted them, rightfully so, and it worked out because even another player, after I called it, she said, yeah, if he picked anyone else, he would have been gone because he's a cop, and cops are very polarizing. So after that, they interview Perla 072, the model. I would say plus size model by my estimate. But she seems really cool. I think Perla has the Yeah, per those, she has a brother. So she's one of the pairs. She's the brother one. So during that process of elimination, they're recovering or whatever it was, meandering along the dorm. Marcus, 21, bigger guy, receives a note and with a spoon and napkin or whatever that says the next game is going to be Mingle, and this would be the first numbers to be called 6. So the first thing that was called was 6, right? And then they got in pretty easily. So in the beginning of the game, even though some people got left out, it was potentially like, I mean, you should give more notes. I think the game should have gave more notes to people, like maybe 5 notes at least, and then those notes could have, like each round of the game. That would be more important as time goes on. So if you and your buddies get 2 notes or whatever, then you have like a better chance in the rounds. One round, obviously, some people got left out. Anyway, somebody's gonna be left out. But it didn't give you a huge advantage. I would like them do something else with that advantage that they gave him, maybe with more people or more rounds at least for the same person. I'm not quite sure. Or have him somehow earn it too, because if he's just getting it randomly from what's that called? Like a little wrap with his napkin and spoon wrap, then what they could have done is whoever finished. The reward could be, that's something Squid Games used to think about, the challenge for sure, to link these things together. The reward from pentathlon, if you had a reward from pentathlon, like the fastest ones that did it, and then they got it, that'd be kind of cool. So that'd be a good twist. But anyways, during the pandemonium, people were ditching their alliances and making rash decisions, which is, pretty reasonable in that situation. I mean, you can't stick with everyone, especially the numbers and everything's moving so fast. When that like carousel type of platform was moving around, the music stopped. You need to make a decision quick, and sometimes your plan doesn't come out. So people shouldn't take it too hard in that scenario, unless it was some kind of blatant, something blatant. But other than that, everybody's still out for themselves. So then at the end, people pair up. Everybody has 2 people at the very end of the game, mingle. And what do? They throw marbles in. So the people that I was warning from the very beginning, watch Filter Entertainment, the Squid Games The Challenge Season 2, episodes 1 through 4, you'll see, I called it episode 1. I said, based on history from season 1, don't pair it with somebody that you care about or that you came with. And what happens? They do the opposite. They probably had a plan within it before they came to the game, but they got emotional. I don't know what happened, but the brother and sister ended up together, and I think the dad. So now one of those have to be eliminated. So that's too bad. But in any case, I think it debuts, today's Monday? Yeah, tomorrow. Next 4 come out tomorrow. So leave your comments below. Who's your horse? Who do you think is going to win? I like to see the cop win because I think he's a super underdog. He's too out there. He's been putting in some work for sure. He had to work. But yeah, it's going to be tough for him. He's my favorite underdog right now. Was Viper. I did like Viper, but unfortunately, this game is a game of mostly luck. So he was unlucky for that to happen. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's going on next time. Please subscribe, put your notifications on, comment. Those would be great for the channel. Trying to grow the channel, do more reaction videos. Filter Entertainment. Enjoy the next set of episodes. See you then.